Hey, well, it is Huck. And I just took my oxygen off. I've been wearing it pretty much night and day for a couple of months now. And I keep saying I'm going to try to wean myself off of it. And, so I'm going to try to do that beginning now. Better late than never, huh? No, seriously, wearing oxygen all the time is not a good thing. And even more alarming is I've had to turn my oxygen up a little bit because I've been so out of breath even wearing it when I get up and do certain things, at least some of the time. And I got to remember to turn it back down because leaving, typically I'd always heard, and I don't even remember now when I first heard this, but I had heard that, you want to leave your oxygen at like the 2 liter level, number 2. For instance, I have a at-home oxygen concentrator over here that, like I say, has pretty much been going night and day now. When I was first prescribed oxygen, I was told to wear it at night, when I'm sleeping, and and as needed. And for the most part, I went most of the day without it, unless I was doing, something physical, like housework of some sort. But just walking from room to room, making something in the kitchen, to eat or those kind of things, I didn't really require it. But the last couple of months I have. I mean, it got to the point beginning in early November where just getting up and walking to the next room, my oxygen level would just drop dangerously low. And so I got to the point where, if I sat on the couch and did nothing, it was probably okay. But the minute I got up and even walked to the kitchen, or to the bathroom, it would drop. So I got into the habit of wearing the oxygen pretty much nonstop, and that's not good. You get to be dependent on it, and not only that, I was always told, and again I don't remember where or when, but I was told I thought that you wanted to keep the oxygen level at around 2 liters, which is what I have mine set at usually. And a couple of times I've gone to the doctor and explained that, it seems to be harder to do the easiest things anymore. I'm out of breath doing things that I used to be able to do without, that much trouble. And yet here I am gasping for breath just, getting to my car or walking back from from the bathroom or something. And a couple of times the doctors suggested maybe I need to raise my oxygen level high. So the last week or so I've raised it from 2 to closer to like 3, just under 3. And that's not good because, as I understand it, anything above 2 makes it more likely that you're going to get, that you're going to weaken your lungs to the point where you become dependent on it. So I've not been on a good path here the last few months, and particularly the last week or so. Now I'm going to take my oxygen level right now. So I've been going about 4 minutes now without it since I started this video. And if my oxygen level is like 95 or above, I should be fine. And that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, and right now I'm doing pretty good. This is saying 98, which typically I don't see 98 unless I got my oxygen on. So anyway, so this is good. So at least we know while I'm sitting up and sitting still, even while talking, which uses a lot of oxygen, I should be able to go without it. So that's good. Now the big news today, and the reason why I wanted to do this video was, as many of you know that have been following my situation, I've been undergoing a series of medical examinations for a possible lung transplant. And the odds are kind of stacked against me in one sense, in that I'm I'm going to turn 66 years old in a little more than a month from now. And basically, getting a lung transplant at that age is not to be expected. Typically, they frown on doing that procedure for folks that reach the age of 65 or older. But they do make exceptions, and I've been told that they will make exceptions up to the age of 70, given a number of other factors. And among those factors are that you don't suffer from other, chronic illnesses or other things that are likely to make you, a poor candidate. So they go through this evaluation process to kind of see whether or not you're a good candidate based on your overall general health in other areas, not just your poor lungs. And, typically if your lungs are as bad as mine are, and frankly they couldn't be much worse, typically in patients who've had a history of smoking and lung disease, you're going to find a corresponding heart condition of some sort, whether it be, well, at any rate, so one of the tests that I had to undergo and that I had been kind of putting off, I finally underwent. And I went to university hospitals and had a heart catheter procedure done a week ago yesterday. So that would have been last Thursday. That would have been, April 21st. And I am happy to report that I came out exceedingly better than really I had even expected. And many of you may recall, about 3 years ago, I think, I went into the hospital because I was having a series of chest pains, and my doctors were worried that it could be, angina. And at first they scheduled me for a stress test with a cardiologist, and but that was going to take several months. You know how it is, scheduling a appointment with a specialist. But I was continuing to have these chest pain episodes. And so finally my doctor said, you know what, I don't want you to wait. Just go into emergency. They'll probably keep you overnight and maybe schedule a stress test the next day. And in fact, that's what they did. But as it turns out, I went through all of that, and the stress test didn't turn up anything definitive. And I believe possibly the problem was my lungs are so bad and so opaque. In other words, they're so discolored and hard, non-transparent, that I believe getting good, clear pictures of the heart or the arteries around the heart probably, let's say, wasn't feasible, wasn't possible. And so they, after reviewing all of these scans that they took, they said they were inconclusive. And so they gave me what they termed as somewhat low-dose medications. They gave me some metoprolol to take daily. They gave me some Lipitor-like cholesterol medication called atorvastatin. And they told me to take a baby aspirin every morning. And so those are the three medications, if you will, that I've been taking every day for almost 3 years now. But the cardiologist, had always said that I'm going to need a catheter done to find out definitively, what, if anything, I've got going on with my heart. And the most likely scenario was that there was some blockage, which is typical of people my age, particularly smokers, but also just people that eat poorly, And I, racked me up for all of that. Well, at any rate, the catheter results were, well, I don't know. I didn't get a real good detailed explanation, but he said they didn't find any blockage. They didn't find any significant issues with my heart at all. And they did a thorough catheter. I mean, this procedure took probably a good 45 minutes. He was pretty quick, but they went through my right wrist and up to the right ventricle where they enter the heart. They come out of there, and then somehow they wind around and come into the left part of the heart, enter the left ventricle, and then they come up from above or something, and they release some kind of dye, and they're looking at the blood flow. At any rate, all of that checked out, and they didn't find any real blockage anywhere. After that was done, and I was in recovery, they had a sonogram, I guess what they call a echocardiogram or something, where they use sonar to basically check things like the volume of your blood in your heart and the blood flow, and they did a bubble test. They did a number of things, and everything checked out. So the good news is that one of the remaining criteria that could have maybe eliminated me as a possible lung transplant candidate has in fact been cleared. I've cleared that hurdle, and that was really the biggest hurdle that I could see. Everything else, all the other tests and everything that I've undergone and scans so far have come through well, and I've been told by many of the doctors that have conducted these procedures that that I did fine, and that this should put me well within the realm of where I need to be a candidate. So I've still got a few more things scheduled. I know I just scheduled something they call a fluoroscopy. Sometimes it's called a sniff test, but it's really a series of scans. I don't know much more than that. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but at least it sounds pretty much non-invasive. So that's coming up here in about a week. A week from today, I've got a whole series of things, but none of them are invasive. One of the things I got scheduled that day, there's about six different meetings or things I've got to do, some scans, x-rays or whatever, but I've got to do another walking test. Right now, I need to up my game as far as that. I'm a little out of shape, so I've got to get my strength back up here. I got about a week to do it. Anyway, so that's what's been going on with me. And like I said, I'm kind of happy to report this because I was really worried about the stress test, about the catheter, and I went through it swimmingly. I really did. They were supposed to sedate you, and I know they did. They had this other IV hooked up on my left side where they were giving me whatever they were giving me, along with taking blood samples, of course. But I didn't feel sedated at all during this procedure, so I don't know. Maybe I'm immune to whatever medication they were trying to sedate me with. But I felt wide awake during the procedure, which is not exactly a procedure you want to be wide awake for. I refused to look at the screens or anything, I didn't want to see. But at any rate, didn't keep me from joking with the doctors once in a while, although I tried to leave them be. You don't want to distract people when people are poking you in the heart, you know what I mean? Anyway, other than that, on a political front, I am just appalled at what the Republican Party has become. I've never voted Republican, I don't think, really ever in my life, but boy, talk about bottom feeders. These people are going after every vulnerable population, all for political power. And when I say vulnerable populations, we're used to them going after, black folks in every possible way and using them to drum up, the ire of their base. But now they're going after, transgender folks, gay folks. They're going after public schools. They're going after the press. It's like no sanctuary is safe. No realm of democracy is safe. They are, and the fear here isn't that the folks that vote this way are a majority. It's that the majority of folks just aren't voting. That's really the fear here. That that they know how to rile up their base and get them to vote for them by scaring them into fear-based voting. And Democrats, unfortunately, largely are apathetic at best, and they really need to be riled. Donald Trump kind of riled them, when he was in office, and some of the nasty things that he was doing, clearly riled a lot of Democrats. But the other part of it was that, Democrats were motivated to vote because it was so easy in the last presidential election with all of the, mail-in voting. And of course, Republicans have taken measures nationwide wherever they hold power, to really limit absentee balloting. And so the only recourse for holding the Senate, holding the House, is going to be, finding something to motivate Democratic voters to go out and actually vote. And with inflation as high as it is, with so many things on the Democratic agenda being stifled, in part by a couple of Democratic senators, Manchin of West Virginia and Sinema of Arizona, and of course the entire Republican Party, with so many big issues, like a $15 minimum wage, like meaningful immigration reform. Biden finally seems to be coming around on the issue of relieving some of the student debt that's out there. And I tell you, that's a huge issue for a lot of young people, and we need young people to vote big time. So, whatever he can do on that front is probably going to be helpful for the Democratic cause. Not to mention helpful to millions of Americans who have ridiculous student debt. I would like to see some kind of legislation on student. If you're not going to eliminate all of it, you should be able to eliminate the ridiculous interest rates and penalties. The fact that people are, 10, 20 years into paying on their student debt, and they still owe practically as much as they borrowed. In some cases more. We should make student debt interest-free. We should start there, at the very least. At any rate, I've got lots of things to say on, the political front, and I've long neglected talking about it. So I'm going to try to do a video in the coming days or week or so, where I'm just going to talk politics for a bit, and we'll see how that goes. But at any rate, I'm doing okay. Like I say, I've got a whole series of procedures scheduled for next week, and then I think the week after that I've got another fluoroscopy scan or something scheduled. So so things are rolling along here, and I anticipate by this time next week I'll have a better idea of where I stand as far as getting on a transplant list, and hopefully that'll be coming a little bit more clear for me. Anyway, that's it for now. I thank you very much for watching. Sorry it's been so long that I've gotten a video up, and I really do have to try to do better. Thanks again. See you again real soon.